Hello and welcome to Strait Talk. I'm Ayse Suberker. Canada says it will resume exports of military equipment to Turkey after a years-long suspension. But Ottawa added all exports will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis and permits could be cancelled in the event of misuse. Ankara has agreed to allow more transparency about where the components will be used. Their resumption of exports follows the Turkish Parliament's approval of Sweden's NATO membership bid last week. Canada first halted drone technology sales to Turkiye in 2020, citing that its hardware had been used in the Karabakh war between Azerbaijan and Armenia. In response, Ankara decided to manufacture the components on its own. The lifting of the export ban follows a string of other NATO countries shifting their defense relationship with Turkiye. The U.S. last week said it would move forward with a long-stalled F-16 fighter jet deal, while the UK, Finland and Sweden all lifted defense export bans on Turkey last year and in 2022. And for more on Canada's resumption of drone technology exports to Turkey, joining me now from London is Afzal Ashraf. He is a visiting fellow at Loughborough University. And from Ankara, Bilgehan Ozturk, a researcher at the SETA Foundation. Gentlemen, welcome to Strait Talk. It's good to have you on the program. So, Afzal, why has Canada suddenly lifted its ban on drone technology exports to Turkey? I mean, were you expecting such a move?
Well, I don't know if I was expecting it, but I'm not surprised that it has happened. The point is that military export bans are largely political. This ban came into being on officially the grounds of human rights, primarily because it was alleged that the technology was being used by the Azerbaijan government in an area which the Canadians felt might threaten the human rights of people of Armenian descent. Mm-hmm. And so the point is that this isn't always, if you like, the real reason. As we can see, one of the reasons why this ban has been lifted, I believe, is that the Turkish government made it one of the conditions that had to be met for its approval of Sweden's membership of NATO. Mm-hmm. So there are very many complex political and economic issues here.
So, Bilgehan, how will this decision contribute to Turkey's defense sector, especially in its drone technology? I mean, will it have a minor effect on the sector since Turkey has started its own production?
Well, it is definitely going to have an important effect because, yes, Turkey's defense industry already started developing, let's say, indigenous, components that have been procured from Canada. But at the same time, it is always an extra labor if you need to come up with your own design, your own developments, and sustaining your defense industry or the armed forces needs on your own. It's always easier to procure it from the established sources of procurement, and in this case, Canada is one of them. So, in that sense, I think this has removed a source of tension or source of anxiety on the part of, let's say, certain defense industry firms or certain elements of the armed forces because of the threat that they would not be able to anymore source it from Canada, but they have to do it on their own. But it is not always easy, and it is always taking a certain amount of time to develop a product that is up to your standards.
So, Afzal, Canada has made it clear that embargoes will return if the components are misused by Turkey. Is this a standard condition in the case of drone sales to third countries?
Yes, it is. It's generally a condition. In fact, the American exports are even more stringent than Canada is. The Americans, for example, when they sell fighter aircraft to the United Kingdom, the United Kingdom can't sell them on as second-hand aircraft without American approval. So these are usually very common, these restrictions. Whether they're applied or not, as I said, is very much an issue of politics. And the point that's just been made about independent manufacture, of course, this is a sort of technology that Türkiye is well able to produce if it wants to invest in it, but there are alternatives available, and increasingly China is producing technology of a very high standard. And even if it's never really capable as the Canadian or US technology, even in the sort of applications we're talking about, 90%, 85% of performance is more than good to those applications. So attitude to how they apply those conditions, knowing that there is a choice that Turkey has.
So, Bilgehan, we know Canada first imposed an arms embargo on Turkey because of its anti-terror operations in northern Syria in 2019. So how is that going to play out amid Turkey's ongoing cross-border operations?
Well, I agree with Afzal very much that, the essence of the issue is political. So when it comes to Turkey's, let's say, prospective operations in northern Syria, again, both sides will be cognizant of this new arrangements, and the welcome decision is that Canadian side will review every single, let's say, defense industry trade case by case. So there's not anymore a blanket, let's say, ban on exports to Turkey. So, for example, if Turkey uses drones in a prospective, let's say, operation in northern Syria, they will probably just stop the elements that is used by the drones and this aerial campaign, rather than the other, let's say, components that are used in other platforms. So this will be the impact. But at the same time, we have to remember that Turkey's decision is also is happening within the framework of a political atmosphere. Especially, I attribute to the post-election 2023 Turkish foreign policy. In a nutshell, I can summarize it as a trading state 2.0, which is about decreasing the costs and decreasing the additional confrontation with the Western alliance.
So, Afzal, meanwhile, the deal to sell F-16s to Turkey has gained momentum. How do you think the process will proceed, and how long might it take, you think?
To be honest, I have no idea. These issues can be very quick or they can be very slow. It's all to do with politics. But if, for example, the US slows down its procurement, it actually loses in the long term, because there are an increasing number of options available. F-16s is an aircraft that is, although of a considerably good performance, has been replaced, upgraded by several aircraft types produced by several countries, including China and elsewhere. And I think this issue of misuse of arms for undesirable applications is one that I'm sure the government of Turkey has brought to the attention of the Americans and other Western powers. For example, a British charity called the Armament Research Group found that in Mosul, weapons that were being manufactured by the coalition were ending up in the possession of ISIS within 10 days of manufacture. So there's a lot of nefarious stuff that's going on behind the scenes, and nobody is really innocent of any alleged misuse.
So, on the other hand, Bilgehan, U.S. Acting Deputy Secretary of State Victoria Nuland has said the U.S. may discuss Turkey's return to F-35 fighter jet program if the S-400 issue is resolved. What's your take on that? And what does Turkey stand to gain or lose for having S-400s on its soil?
Well, this is the topic that we have been discussing since the purchase of S-400, because that's added to the already existing tensions in Turkish-American relations. But at the same time, this, let's say, points by U.S. administration is not new. They were clear about Turkey's having S-400, and there were talks between the parties about the removal of S-400s for a possible return to F-35. But the point is whether Turkey will agree to ditching S-400 systems in return for a possible return to F-35 program. This all boils down the issue of the nature of Turkiye and the United States bilateral relations and the strategic, let's say, strategic framework of this relations. And for this reason, I know that there are calculations what to gain and what to lose from this. For the past 5 or 6 years have been towards the direction that Turkey did not want to ditch its S-400 for a possible return to F-35 program due to the let's say some kind of ruined nature of Turkish-American relations. The nature of Turkish-American relations has to change for that kind of a, let's say, trade between the two parties.
So, Afzal, Turkey also says it is still interested in buying 40 Eurofighter Typhoon jets, despite progress towards the acquisition of F-16s from the U.S. So does that mean Ankara isn't fully confident that the fighter jets deal will go through?
Again, it's very difficult to tell because of the politics. I would suggest that the deal should and would go through because at the end of the day, it's in the interest of the selling countries, and the Eurofighter, of course, is manufactured by 3 countries, including the United Kingdom, because there are choices now, and it's not the Eurofighter isn't as much of a security threat as the F-35. And the problem with the F-35 and the S-400 is that there is a non-political real security issue here, and that is that if Turkey has both of those capabilities, it has the potential, in theory at least, to work out how to override either the defenses within the F-35,
yes,
or the capability of the S-400 or the surface-to-air missile systems from the Russians. And this poses a real potential security threat.
All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, we are out of time. Thank you very much for joining me on Strait Talk.